Hey kiddies, it's Triple Feature Tuesday once again, and this week we're looking at parodies featuring the actual actors that were in the movies they're parodying. That's right, we're going to look at 3 movies that feature the actual actors playing substantially the same part that the movie is lampooning. This, either reeks of one of 2 things. One, great bravery and or self-confidence. They are sure enough in their career and their ability that, they can just poke a little fun at what they've done. They're okay, they're bigger than that. Or, well, there's not as much left for them, and so they've got to do something. It's fun, because these are going to be movies in which the actors are main or featured characters throughout the whole film, as opposed to one-off gags, of which there are quite a few that I enjoy. Most notably, I love John Hurt, his little cameo in Spaceballs, reprising Poor Kane from the Doom Nostromo spaceship of Alien. And, of course, Michael Berryman and Vernon Wells in Weird Science, where they're both... Vernon Wells is basically playing the exact same character he played in The Road Warrior. And Michael Berryman, not exactly playing Jupiter from The Hills Have Eyes, but essentially playing, just a big scary meathead guy, which is just, wonderful that they have the wherewithal to do that. But our menu is going to include Back to the Beach, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, and Hot Shots Part 2. Now, I love Back to the Beach. Back to the Beach is an adorable little movie. It is a send-up of the old Frankie and Annette beach movies, starring Frankie and Annette. I mean, why not? Apparently Frankie Avalon had wanted to do it for years, and he was trying to get it put together, but there were a lot of rights issues involved in doing that. And, even though they managed to get around most of them, they still were not able to solve all of them. That's why, if you listen carefully, Frankie Avalon is never referred to as Frankie in the movie. He is either he is usually referred to as the Kahuna or the Big Kahuna. And even in the credits, he's listed as Annette's husband because, for whatever reason, they were not allowed to use Frankie. Annette was still Annette. You gonna tell Annette Funicello she can't be Annette? This movie basically hits all the same sort of beats that those old beach movies did, where it's, mild conflict over romance and or, one gang trying to take over a beach as opposed to another gang taking over the beach. Nothing is terribly serious, but it's a lot of fun. And it's actually kind of interesting to see these actors playing these characters having aged. And that's part of it, where Annette and Frankie are going through, a bit of a midlife crisis. And that's reflected in the story. But, I say story, it's really just connective tissue from, musical number or silly joke. I grew up on it. Even today, I've never actually watched an actual beach movie. This is the closest I've gotten. But it's a hell of a lot of fun. You get all these great cameos from old TV shows, like Tony Down, Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver, Bob Denver, and Alan Hale from Gilligan's Island. And, unfortunately, that was actually the last film appearance of Bob Denver and Alan Hale. So when they go off to do another 3-hour tour, one could, in my headcanon, they just never came back. Don Adams is in there, and Pee Wee Herman pops in with an actual musical number for Surfin' Bird. But that's just tip of the iceberg, because also, one of the greatest things ever happens in this movie that, doesn't get a lot of talk about is Dick Dale and Stevie Ray Vaughan doing a duet. Or not necessarily duet, but they are playing Pipeline together, and it's one of the greatest things ever. You also have Annette Funicello with Fishbone, and just, because it's a beach movie, it all gets wrapped up in a big song at the end with the whole cast singing, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. I love it. Why wouldn't you like Back to the Beach? It's a good time. Next up, we have Keenen Ivory Wayans' I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, a send-up of blaxploitation films starring blaxploitation actors. Keenen Ivory Wayans plays a new breed of blaxploitation hero that enlists the help of the old pros. And what old pros? We got Bernie Casey, Jim Brown, Isaac Hayes, and Antonio Vargas. All just badass blaxploitation guys from back in the day. They had also talked to Fred Williamson, another, a noticeably absent blaxploitation hero. But he was too cool and was worried that it would damage the the blaxploitation films and the cool persona that he had, created back in the 70s. Three noticeably absent are Ron O'Neal, Superfly, Pam Grier, Foxy Brown, and Richard Roundtree, Shaft. Now, Ron O'Neal would later do a guest star on the I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka TV show, but Richard Roundtree and Pam Grier would later star in Original Gangstas with Jim Brown and Fred Williamson, where it was a Larry Cohen film, which is kind of sort of the serious version of I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, but, we're doing parodies because we love things and we like to tease things. And, oh, man, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka just goes after everything, and it's wonderful. And also, of note, Steve James plays Kung Fu Joe, and while he was not a blaxploitation star, he did star in at least 3 American Ninjas, so he probably did know Kung Fu, and he is awesome. Finally, we have Hot Shots Part Deux, directed by Jim Abrams of Zucker Abrams' Zucker fame, the airplane, Top Gun, Naked Gun guys. He is co-wrote and directed this sequel to his previous film, Hot Shots, both of which starring Charlie Sheen as ace fighter pilot Topper Harley. This time around, Topper is not a fighter pilot so much as a Rambo analog, reaching back to his Navy SEAL days. The fun bit is that Richard Crenna essentially is playing Colonel Troutman from the Rambo films. He shows up and tries to bring Topper Harley out of retirement, a la Rambo in Rambo 3. Yeah, Rambo 3. This is First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and then inexplicably Rambo 3. And then just Rambo. But anyway, Richard Crenna doing the same exact thing and getting kidnapped and tortured again, just like in Rambo 3, and so that prompts Topper to come out of retirement to save him. Another great little, almost a blink and you'll miss a cameo, is Martin Sheen reprising his role from Apocalypse Now. There is one of the best parts of the whole damn movie when Topper Harley is riding on a boat in the river and he starts writing down in his journal, like you hear a voiceover narration by Charlie Sheen, much like he did in Platoon, which was another Charlie Sheen movie. And then at the same moment, or like a minute into it, Martin Sheen cuts in with his own voiceover, a la Apocalypse Now, and they pan out, and he's on another boat, and the boats are kind of going in opposite directions. But for the moment that they pass each other, Martin Sheen stands up and points at Charlie Sheen, and Charlie Sheen stands up and points at Martin Sheen, and they both at the same time say, "I loved you in Wall Street." It's just adorable and a hell of a lot of fun, which all of these movies are. Parodies should always be a lot of fun, but, always sort of creating their own jokes in it instead of just, the way what parodies have degenerated into, which is just, hey, this was in a movie a couple of years ago. Isn't it stupid? See, these parodies, they're not saying they're stupid, they're just taking them to ridiculous extremes for comedic effect, like cartoons. And they are all a lot of fun. So, Back to the Beach, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, and Hot Shots Part Deux. Check those out, and I'll see you guys next week.